5 times, and then it's 6C. C is 4 minus 8, and then B is negative 3 plus 10. D is negative 1/2. Now maybe you had problems on these because it is a little blurry. Okay, so what's the acronym we use when we try to figure out what math we need to do? PEMDAS, so you can have a point. We're going to deal with these parentheses first, and that's why a lot of people missed number 4 on their checkpoint. They weren't dealing with those parentheses first. They were determined to put 1 and 3 together instead of multiplying 1 times 5. Okay, 6 times 4 is, and then negative 8 times negative 3 is positive 24, and then 10 times negative 1/2 is, Daniel, your group can have a point. Nick, I'm sorry, you did the easy one, so you can get the negative 5. Okay, and now from here, do I go ahead and multiply 5 times 24 and distribute? I mean, I could do this times this, this times this, this times this. That's way too complicated there. Instead, what should I do? Why don't we just add these like terms, and then Daniel's being a super overachiever. He's just like, from here, put it in the calculator. We totally could do that. But I like math, so I'm going to keep going. So if you add 24 and 24 and then subtract 5, you get, okay, because you had 48 minus 5, which really is 43. So what is my final answer?
215.
Table 1 can have a point. Okay, on number 2, it should have been a decimal. On number 3, it should have been a decimal. Then the only other one that someone's asked about is number 7. Would someone like to ask about a different one now? Yes, dear. Number 3. Okay, number 3. It says, well, no wonder. You got 6. Everyone else got negative 6?
No, I got 4.8.
Okay, well, here's what you saw, and here's what I see. Back to the paper is blurry. So from now on, we probably should make sure, like, and if there was a clarification issue, surely to goodness, someone will email me and be like, or at least ask me on Google Classroom, like, hey, on number 3, what is that exponent? It looks like a 2, but I thought it was a 3, so I did a 3. I thought it was a 3.
So did you?
I think it's a 3. I did 3. And when I say I did 3, I mean the other Algebra 2 trick teacher also did 3, so we're going to pretend it's a 3, although do I kind of see a 2? I don't know what that is. Somebody needed to ask. Okay, so if I plug in the things, 4 to the 3rd minus 1, B minus D.
So if we got 6, and we put 2 in, that's still...
Well, I can work it. I can work it with. I can work it both ways. I am.
Okay.
16 minus 1 is 15. You end up doing negative 3 plus a half. So it's negative 2 1/2. So negative 5 over 2. You got negative 6. Negative 6 is correct if you thought it was a 2. See, I thought it was a 3, so I did 3. So I had 64 minus 1 in the numerator and negative 5/2 in my denominator. So I had 63 over negative 5/2, and when I put that in my calculator, I got negative 25.2. I totally understand why you thought it was a 2, though. I would not be mad. And if this was a test, surely to goodness someone in the room would ask me for clarification. And if you didn't, because you stayed, you would get your points for negative 6. Okay. Someone, it was Nick. Nick asked for number 7, so let's work number 7 real fast. 7 says B minus D times G and it's G squared. Okay, Cooper is a genius with his calculator. He put this whole thing in one line. We talked about, like, his calculator wasn't cooperating. We talked about how to make it cooperate. You can type this whole line in your calculator. Not even gonna lie. However, you know, I'm not gonna do that. Instead, I'm gonna work it out with PEMDAS. The second letter is what? The exponent. So I need to deal with that exponent. So what is 1/3 squared? What's 3 times 3? 9. What's 1 times 1? 1. So it's 1/9. Don't overthink your life. Okay, and then I can write this whole line again if I want to, but I get that Cooper's trying to show lots of things at once. So I understand if he went ahead and did 3 times 1/3. He's that good. If you went ahead and did 3 times 1/3, what is 3 times 1/3? You can have a point. So you have -8 minus 1 times 1/9. What does your final answer end up being? You can get your point now. So you have -9 times 1/9, and you end up getting -1. Somebody has got to do something, because table 3 is kicking tail and taking names. Okay, are there any other questions from the homework? Again, if Cassidy's questioning her own sanity, I'm going to post the key later this afternoon. Let me get through my life without a gratuitous drag, and I'll post the key this afternoon. Okay. So we're done talking about 1-1 and 1-2. 1-1 was classifying numbers. 1-2 was what we did yesterday, simplifying or evaluating an expression. So today we're going to move on to 1-3 and 1-4. And I think we've gone a little bit crazy because there's supposed to be a checkpoint tomorrow, a quiz on Thursday, and another checkpoint on Friday. Like, I don't know why they think I'm that good, but I will try. Am I going to check the homework, guys? Before you put it all away, thank you, Daniel, for reminding me. I just want to see what you tried. Just want to see what you tried. He's got some has to the other page. You have yours and go to the other page. What? This would be fun. Break my heart, break my heart. Okay. You don't know you working. All the same thing. All the same. Page, all the same, flip to the other. Oh, you have them both open at the same time. That's the okay. You want to good. Okay. Other. Okay. See, Daniel made sure you got your free points of the day. No one made me cry. There were 2 people that made me a little sad, but no one made me cry. So for sure, I will post the key this afternoon to the homework. Okay, so we're going to do 1-3 and 1-4. We're probably just going to get through the 1-3 today. And then someone needs to ask me something really smart right now so I can give them their free point. Yep. Really smart. Hey, are we going to... Are we going to do a video on it?
We're gonna have homework.
You can read. What should I be going over that I haven't gone over?
Are we gonna do the math workshop?
Are we going to do the math workshop? No. I basically gave you that one, Nick. That was me giving it to you. Okay, so going over the math workshop. Nick would love a point there. He's looking. We're going over number 7 and 8 today. I would love to have one of my quiet groups volunteer for number 7 or 8. Go ahead.
I got,
Not you, Nick.
I got -3 plus 4n minus 4n.
5 minus 8 got -3. 2, -6 got -4. Okay. You can have a point for that. Is a free point available? Is there anything wrong with her answer?
Because they're not backwards.
Okay, someone said it's backwards. How would you fix it? Okay, so will you read? Who said the numbers out loud? Say it again.
-4 plus -4m plus 4n minus 3.
Okay, your group can have a point. Paige was on the right. Yeah, your name is Paige, isn't it? Look at me knowing things. Paige was on the right track, but Jax just said the whole answer I'm looking for, so let's give him the point. Okay, Jax, does that put y'all at 1? Okay. Would you like to volunteer for number 8 then?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
5g squared plus 3g.
He did a great job. If you missed it, again, I like to distribute that negative. So on my paper, I would probably have, because when I write it like that and distribute that negative, I know for sure when I combine those like terms, it really is -5. It really is 3g. Apparently Jax is a genius, and he doesn't have to do things, but that's fine. Jax, add a point. Okay, are there any questions about the math workshop? I know you're like, Miss Compton, it's Tuesday and we're already on number 9. Like, well, what's the deal? But I'm telling you, I'd like to not do any of these on Thursday since we're going to have a quiz. We would really like to like nip all this in the bud so we can focus on that. Okay, I promise we will do ACT prep tomorrow. I promise we will. I'll just have to shut up talking about something else. But for now, let's go on to our notes for today. So we're going to talk about how to go from an algebraic expression to a verbal expression and vice versa. So we might have to go algebraic to verbal or verbal to algebraic. I think algebraic to verbal is harder than verbal to algebraic, but that's just my 2 cents. Okay, so let's read this first sentence. It says, the difference between the product of 4 and a number squared and 6. Okay, when I see the word difference, what operation do you think of? Okay, table 2, I heard you first. Table 2 can have the point. Okay, the difference between the product, I'll give you table 3. You can mute your 5 points now. A 4 and a number. When you see and a number, what should you put in? You should put in x. And then we see squared, and if something's squared, it's raised to what power? The second power. Okay, so we've got to figure out an actual equation, right? So it says the difference between the product of 4 and a number squared and 6. So let's focus on the product of 4. So the product of 4 and a number squared. So I'm just reading the last bit of that sentence. The product of 4 and a number squared. That's why I put them next to each other, because we're multiplying. And then it said something about 6. It says, and then it says and 6. But I'm not going to leave it like this. I need to put some sort of operator in between. You're going to put subtraction because it said the difference. So now that we read the whole sentence, let's make sure our equation makes sense. The difference between the product of 4 and a number squared is 6. Yes, this looks pretty good. Are there any questions on number 1? Okay, number 2. 2 more than 4 times the cube of a number. Okay, when I see more than, what operation do you think of? Addition. How many points are y'all at, Nick? You can have another point for sure. You should not be at 2. You should at least be at 4. Go to 4. Two more than, so 2 plus 4 times the cube of a number. So I'm going to put x, and then where do I put the cube? Above the x. Again, when I see of a number, I think x. 4 times made me think of multiplication. Are there any questions on number 2? You're like, this is the weirdest. Why are we doing this? I understand completely. I swear it will help us. And then I just try to think long term of, sadly there is writing in math class. I'm not the best at English. All the words don't come out all the time. But there is writing in math class, and being able to explain our math in writing is a good thing. Okay, and I would say this one you could do on your own, but it's still a little tricky, so we'll do it again together. 3 times the difference of a number and 8. Oh, I might have someone in here who can get it without me. Okay, it actually is that. So if we're reading it through, I knew it said 3 times, so on my paper I probably went in 3 and then times. And then it said the difference of a number and 8. Well, I knew difference meant that they were multiplied. But you and I both know we wouldn't have written it like this. We get rid of that extra multiplication sign, and we just squish it all together. So your paper should say 3 and then parentheses x minus 8. And then we save the hardest for last, or at least I think so. 15 less than. So we know that's going to be subtraction. The quotient, that's division of a number cubed and 4. And then you saw a number, so that's x. So there's something about x cubed, something about a 4 and a 15. Any thoughts on that one? I'm going to put the 15 at the end, actually. You're right, I am going to do a minus 15 at the end. That's true. But what do I do about the 4 and the x cubed? Okay, we are going to do x cubed divided by 4. Okay, so let's read through that sentence again. 15 less than, that's why we have the minus 15. The quotient, that's why we made that fraction. A number cubed, so x cubed. And 4, so x cubed was divided by 4. I think 4 is the trickiest one. Okay. I know how much you love that. Now we get to do the opposite. We're given we're given numbers. We got to go to words. We got to go from the algebraic to the verbal. Okay, so we can be really fancy or we can be really not fancy. How are we going to be today?
Really fancy.
We're going to be super fancy. Okay, we can be super fancy. Yeah, we can do both. So if I was being super fancy, I would write 9 less than a number squared is, and then I'm not going to use equal to because I'm fancy. I know different words. So I'm going to say is, I could say is equivalent to, is the same as. Okay, that is what I'm going to call the fancy version. 9 less than, a number squared is the same as 72. Do you really think I'm going to be mad at Tylen if she writes a number squared minus 9 is equal to 72? 72. too. I mean, doesn't that black sentence say all the same stuff as the blue sentence? It's less fancy, and I'm not going to be mad at her for that.
So we get points either way.
You get points either way. I can't be mad at your English, unless, of course, I can be mad at her if she puts plus instead of minus, if she uses the wrong word. She puts quotient, but she meant product. I can get mad at her for that. But as in she didn't do my fancy English, no, I can't get mad at that. Okay, so let's see. Some more fancy English. I would say on number 6, the difference between the product of 5 and a number and a, that's not as fancy as I wanted it to be, and a number cubed, and now I've given up, so equals 12. Let's face it, that is not the prettiest sentence I've ever written. It's definitely not the prettiest sentence I've ever read. If Cooper puts the product of 5 and a number minus the number cubed equals 12, I'm not going to be mad at that. I'm not going to be mad at anything he has as long as he has difference for minus, product for multiplication. He doesn't mix up his vocab terms. Go crazy. Do what, baby? In 6. Okay. And then for number 7, any help with that one? Because if you don't help me, I'm going to fancy it. A number divided by 4 Nick said a number divided by 4, and then he stopped. Added to 8 is what? Equal to negative 16. I don't have a single problem with what Nick's sentence. Did I write a fancier one on my paper? Yes. I wrote 8 more than the quotient of a number in 4. So if you want to be fancy, I wrote 8 more than the quotient of a number and 4, and then I said it's equal to negative 16. Just out of time and room and energy. Okay, and then the last one I think is the hardest because it's parentheses, and since we are low on time and I do love you, I will give you that one. Oh, I thought I had a hand up and everything. I was really proud. Okay. I'm going to say the product of 6 and the difference of a number and 2 equals 14. Do I think Nick could have made that easier of 6 times the product of, I don't know. I think Nick could have made that less fancy. That's what I wrote, but I tend to be fancy. Okay, you have a few to practice on your own tonight. Let me freeze this for those who are still going. You have a few to practice on your own tonight, and it's page 11 in this packet still, 1 through 10. I will probably give you some time at the beginning of class, so if you could do at least the first 5. How many points did table 1 end up with? How many points, table 2?
4.
How many points, table 3? Straight at the 5, table 4? 2, table 5.
1.
Table 5, you promise tomorrow to at least get 2? Because there are 2 of you. Ellie's going to start sitting with you tomorrow at least, and she'll help you get some points. Okay, because we do love table 5, and they did do a good job today, and this, I swear this will not happen every day. Karen and Delaney are gonna start outranking table 3 soon. You may add 4 points. Everyone may add 4 points to their score. That way Delaney and Karen can have their perfect day. Delaney and Karen are banking on my niceness. They need to accept one day I will not be nice. Yes, dear? 1 through 10. Yes, dear. I think there are 12. If you wanted to go ahead and do all 12, I'll do it. It was in the Friday of last week, the 11th. They have all their names and table 3 written on it. Look at all the stuff they can't all depend on me. They can write it. This serious? Everything? You can keep it. It's yours. What? Put on your ear. Who's your grade level on counseling?